Told through the stories of today's leaders in finance, tech, real estate, culture, and sustainability. We share the boundless and beautiful technology of nature, where health is the new luxury and opportunities for a better future are being crafted by the second. This is Planet Gold, with your host, Enzo di Taranto.
Welcome to this new edition of Planet Gold, my eco podcast to re-engineer the global climate agenda at the horizon 2030. Today we speak with Carlos Creus Moreira. In addition of being a top United Nations cybersecurity expert, Carlos has funded and manages an ecosystem of tech companies, some of which are listed in the NASDAQ, that conceive humans as a fulcrum of the internet. Carlos led a series of important activations during the World Economic Forum in Davos last week. And today he shared with us his assessment of that important week, but also introduce disruptive concepts like the digital rights as a new generation of human rights to ensure access to technology for the majority of the world population, a topic that I promote and support since decades now. So we have thought alike on the same frequency. We also, and thanks to the visionary attitude of Carlos, we discuss issues like a digital consciousness as an evolution of the relation between humans and machines. He mentioned the trends to interplanetary exploration as a means to expand access to territory and resources for a growing Earth population, and introduce also a very visionary idea of creating a green Google type world company powered by clean energy that functions in harmony with both AI and nature. So it was a very interesting conversation. I enjoyed it very much. I'm sure that you also will. So now listen to the whole episode. Let me know what you think about it. Leave comments on my LinkedIn page. And as always, stay inspired and love the planet. Carlos, thank you very much again for your time and your interest in Planet Gold, in this new platform, focusing on climate finance and sustainability. Our objective is to shake consciousness of decision makers, entrepreneurs, and investors about the importance of fostering and accelerating the implementation of the global climate agenda, in particular, the Sustainable Development Goals that I know you understand well for your broad experience within the United Nations as well. And you have a very interesting profile intersecting private sector and finance with technology, with your work at the United Nations. So before getting into those important topics, can you please share with us, first of all, your life story? How you ended up funding WISeKey. What is your life journey in the business arena with the purpose of doing good for the planet and humanity?
Thank you very much. A pleasure for being with you guys here on Planet Goal. So my background is that I originally started with the UN very young. I was one of the youngest professionals in the UN in Geneva, in Switzerland. As you know, the UN through the Sustainable Development Goals, but even before that, endeavor is to ensure that not only the planet but the people living in the planet can survive the different cycles of technology, innovation, and many other factors that are affecting the planet. I stayed in the UN for 16 years. I was the chief security officer of the UN. The UN in Geneva invented the World Wide Web. Was done in this city, you know, by CERN, which was the genesis of the web with Tim Berners-Lee in Geneva, and I shared that generation. I was part of that a group of people. Then they started to play with the web. We developed the third website of the web in Geneva, developed by me, by my team. And we started to realize that this was an amazing invention, but at the same time, that was bringing a lot of risk. And those risks are now being accelerated by exponential technology, which are converging between themselves. And this was been the subject of Davos that week. I have no voice because I have run something like 30 different panels and conferences, so that I am really losing my voice. But I will try to keep it until the end of this panel. But when I reached 40, I realized that the UN as a policymaker is a great place to be. But there is a glass ceiling in what concerns execution, right? Because the UN is not really an execution body. So then I moved to the private sector. I founded WISeKey. I raised $400 million. I IPO the company in Switzerland and then in the NASDAQ. And then I started to develop other companies. WISeKey now is a conglomerate of companies. We have 5 companies attached to WISeKey. We have another one with an CLSQ, which is also a NASDAQ company, which just did a listing on the NASDAQ last May, a $300 million market cap. And we have also a space technology company, which has launched Pico satellite with a SpaceX with the name WISeSat. And we also, and this is where I met Benedict, we also launched a very powerful platform for digital assets, art, real estate, and things like that, and they are tokenized now. And this is a very large community. We announced a $500 million deal in Davos yesterday, actually, on WISeArt. So this ecosystem of companies, they are serving several different purposes, but they're all interconnected in my vision, which is still there from the beginning, that whatever we do has to be human-centric. I am also the writer of the Transhuman Code, which is a bestseller in the United States, a book that positions the human at the center of gravity of this fourth industrial revolution, which is exponentially out of control. Davos was all about AI. The founder of OpenAI was there. We had talks to it, and there's it is a great opportunity because that will solve many. AI has the capability of solving many of the fundamental issues on Earth, including climate change. But it has also a huge risk because this technology can get out of control, and if the only driver of this technology is going to be profit and the monopolistic view of big platforms, then we will be in a situation where humans might be in danger. So now it's a trade-off between the benefit of the technology and the risk of the technologies, and how can we, as a human, either through regulation, although I am not really very much pro-regulation because I know that AI cannot be regulated, but maybe decentralization, maybe open the source code to everybody so we can have an assessment of what is inside against potentially bias. But yeah, so this is my life is a complicated parcours, as we say, because I work on international affairs with the UN. I developed a company, I raised money, I did IPOs, and now I am also the founder of WISeKey.org, which is an NGO, a UN NGO. It's International Organization for Secure Electronic Transactions, which is a Geneva-based think tank on how we can secure the internet. It's a non-for-profit vehicle that we use as a policy making to try to influence the agendas that they are being designed globally. So just a long answer of your question.
No, that's fine. I mean, we appreciate your answer. And once again, our stories are very similar in many ways. But today is all about you. And so we would like to draw from your experience some visionary scenarios that we need to look at in order to prevent reality and influence it positively as much as we can. And so you mentioned the Sustainable Development Goals. As you well know, sustainable development is a human-centric concept. It's not really economic or technological or even environmental. It's all about making the lives of global citizens better so that all Earth's citizens can have access to clean water, to sufficient food, access to social services, so and obviously clean air and a decent job. So this is these are the fundamentals of life, and sustainable development is really a person-centric philosophy of life. Now, in my view, the blockchain and artificial intelligence are those technologies that are reshaping the global economic system, even though there are some factors of power who are not really opposing because they are too smart to, want to oppose these dynamics, but certainly trying to slow them down. But in any case, the train started moving and nobody will stop it. So my question is, in your view, based on your experience and your forecast of the planet and humanity at the horizon 2030, how both the blockchain and the AI can help us to accelerate the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals?
Yeah, very good question. I mean, blockchain or AI or quantum or IoT, those are elements. It's like when you do a very sophisticated dish, you need carrots and eggs. So you need different ingredients, but none of one of them is more important than the other. They're all important. And all of them, they have a role to play. There's a lot of, I've been going to Davos for 20 years, and every year in Davos, something is very important. E-commerce was very important. NFTs were very important. Last year, cryptocurrency. This year, nobody talks about cryptocurrency. This year is AI. And next year, nobody's going to talk to AI. They're going to talk about quantum. And this is going to go on and on because this hype of the industry is what makes is the ball of the industry, right? Everybody gets excited by a theme, by putting too much focus on that theme and basically believing that theme is going to save the world and solve all the problems, which is totally wrong. So the way we need to approach the fourth industrial revolution, where we are entering now, it is a revolution where things are exponential. Humans, we are linear. So we in order for walking 100 meters, we have to go step by step. Technology is exponential. So technology will be a beating house anytime. Exponential always win against linear, right? So because we are linear, we cannot compete against technology. And the problem we are facing here is that technology is what make people rich, I mean, all the big wealth of the world is being generated through the technology innovation. And 99% of the people, the rest of the people, they're excluded from that innovation. They cannot just do it because they don't have the means, they don't have the money, they don't have the R&D, they don't have the universities, they don't have the basis. So we are in an inequality process of expanding technology. And that creates a huge risk because these technologies, for instance, AI AI has the capability of solving all the sustainable development goal in once. One of the sustainable development goal, the 16.6, is digital identity. Give to every human being a digital identity, which is something that WISeKey does. So you include them into the digital economy. Without a digital identity, you don't have the key to open the door that allows you to enter into the digital economy. So if you don't have the key, you have to ask the key somebody, and that somebody is going to put conditions to give the key to you. So this needs to be decentralized. But why, after so many years of trying to deploy a global identity, you still don't have it? Still, we have only 1 billion identity where we have nearly 8 billion people. It's because the distribution of technology is totally elitist. It's not accessible to everybody. And before, I remember in the UN when we were talking about the digital divide, now we are talking about the AI divide. Actually, one of the subjects in Davos, what they are saying is that only big corporations are going to make use of AI. They're going to become so powerful. I mean, all the Fantastic Five will become hugely powerful because they are the only one, and they have the data required to make the AI intelligent. The rest, we will be, including nations, will be losing their influence. Nations that they are not investing massively into AI will become irrelevant. These are the superpowers like the United Nations, like the United States, China, and others. So in that environment, I will say we're going towards a big issue, which is inequality, global inequality, which then brings all societal issues. Now, how we solve that? I mean, it's a difficult problem to solve because the entire society is run by money, right? So when you get money and power, you want more money and more power. And this is a human condition that is very difficult to change. So there are two philosophies here. There are the philosophy of the super powerful, super rich people, and say the planet, the Earth is dumb. I mean, it's like we cannot solve the problem anymore. So let's go to Mars. Let's create a new civilization where we'll be ruled by different rules, and Earth will become like the ghetto. Like when you go to Rio de Janeiro, you have a ghetto there, and you have the people living in the ghetto, and then you have people living in Copacabana in a beautiful house, and they live very well because one already decided that living in the ghetto is okay, and the other decided that being rich is okay. So we are going towards that type of model on Earth, where you're going to have very powerful people, and they are using the resources on Earth just to satisfy their requirements living somewhere else. And that's why so much money is being put in Mars. That's why Elon Musk and the space exploration is booming now, because they really believe that there's absolutely no way that we can solve the Earth issues. There's another philosophy, which is more my philosophy, is that no, I mean, Earth has been given to us, and we will never find any other planet as beautiful and amazing like Earth. So we have to preserve our motherland, right? And in preserving the motherland, we have to decentralize wealth. We have to empower 8 billion people to contribute to the intelligence of the human intelligence that rule the world. I mean, it's not AI. AI is only an extrapolation of human intelligence. AI should be something that empowers us to be more intelligent, but does not replace us from being intelligent. It's like the smart friend that we have to give an advice because it's very specialized, but we are taking the decision, not the advisor. So in order to do that, we need a totally new mindset. The technology is there. We don't have a technology issue anymore. I mean, the technology, as I say, AI, especially AGI, which is coming in 5 or 6 years, could basically solve all the sustainable development goals of the UN, which by the year 2030 are not going to be solved. Poverty is going to be there, inequality is going to be there, climate disruption is going to be there, and there's absolutely no reason why technology cannot be used to solve them. But we'll need a more like a global consensus of protecting the human, and there's where I think we need to go. So humans, if you go to ChatGPT and you say, do you know who I am? They say, no, I don't know you. And if you, the next question of ChatGPT say, do you know what a human is? ChatGPT say, no, I don't know what a human is. So the concept of human has not been embedded into the technology. The technology does not know what a human is. So if the technology doesn't understand what a human is, how to protect a human, we're going to be a liability. Because we breathe, so we are sending CO2 to the atmosphere. We eat, we have to feed ourselves, so we are using the natural resources. And we are actually something that is endangering this planet because we are 8 billion people, right? So in order to solve that problem, we need to protect the human. So I've been talking to the United Nations Commission of Human Rights here in Geneva. We were talking, why don't we develop the digital human rights, the Commission of Digital Human Rights? We have physical human rights, but what about a digital human right? The digital right of being, or data should be protected. The digital right of not letting AI algorithm data mining host and taking decision on behalf. So those rights are available. We could develop them, and we could put a human charter, international charter, on where everything we do, whatever technology we develop, whatever exponentiality is going to happen, humans are going to be protected. So you have like a rock in the middle of a river that the water goes around, but the rock is there and is immovable and cannot be modified. And there is totally a possibility of doing that now. But why it's not happening? Because humans are consumers for platforms. Platforms do not see us as a human. They see us as a consumer. So as a consumer, the day that we don't consume anymore, we have zero value for them. And therefore, they are not interested in us. That's why we are excluding 7 billion people. So we have to teach them not to see the humans as a consumer, because we are more than a consumer. We have to try, this platform should see us, and these algorithms that they are powering those platforms, they need to see the human as a human, something which is unique, something that needs to be protected. Otherwise, we're going to become an endangered species. We're going to be like the rhino in Africa, right?
Yeah.
And the only way to avoid that is by teaching and putting regulation on technology. Then they say, whatever you can do, whatever you want on technology is wonderful. But when you reach a human person, you should not develop anything that dilutes the quality of life of a person, dilutes his rights, dilutes his humanity. That needs to be protected. Even if it's a great business, you cannot touch it. You have to protect it. And that needs an international treaty. And this is the fight we are having, because platforms that they use humans as a consumer, they make money on that, right? So they are not willing to give away their money. Then they are making humans as a consumer to give humans as a human. And this is a learning curve that needs to be respected and implemented.
Yeah. And I'm so happy, Carlos, that you mentioned the so-called digital rights, because last year I organized an event in the ECOSOC at the United Nations in New York, which was specifically about the new generation of human rights, which encompass both environmental rights, like access to clean water, sufficient food, pure air, and so on, as well as the so-called technological rights, which are access to the internet, which are access to information, to knowledge, to identity protection, and so on. So this is a conversation that I've been fostering since now 10 years, I should say with some success, because, for instance, the General Assembly has approved a number of resolutions as far as environmental rights are concerned, that are quite, compelling, even though, as you know, not enforceable. So these are statements of intention, but certainly more can and must be done as far as the so-called technological rights are concerned. So I would love to work with you moving forward in this direction. And actually, Benedict, who is our podcast producer, he was filming with me in New York at the UN headquarters. I think it was last July. And so we also have some audiovisual content that we can work with. But another interesting point that you mentioned, you say that the Earth and humanity can become a ghetto, and then another segment of population will, move to the moon or Mars or whatever. There is a very interesting movie with Matt Damon and Jodie Foster. I think the title is Elysium. I suggest you watch if you have not already, which basically visualize exactly what you just saw in your mind, which is, an elite civilization, in some satellite in the atmosphere, and those who remain on Earth, are in very dire environmental and socioeconomic conditions. And so this is the scenario that we must avoid at all costs. And I believe in the power of Mother Earth to regenerate itself. I don't subscribe the hypothesis that it's too late. I think that we have already started a new parable of consciousness. There are people like us who are very well conscious and aware of the challenges that we have. And I believe that also in many economic sectors, if you think the most polluting industries globally, from cars to food, fashion, hospitality, these are all moving towards becoming, more conscious, more responsible, more sustainable. And in the technological arena, as you well know, John Kerry at COP28 in Dubai, he launched this absolutely magnificent concept of using clean energy to power the internet that, is probably the thing that most consumes energy on the planet. So there are so many good evolutions. There is so much progress in this arena. Some see that like us, and some other are not yet conscious and awake. And so in this regard, Carlos, I would like to hear your perception of the World Economic Forum, which obviously has a very traditional and, in my view, quite obsolete, not looking forward agenda, by nature. It's the nature of that gathering. But how, apart from AI that you mentioned was dominant in the agenda this year, how do you see the whole issue of impact investing and the climate agenda within the World Economic Forum? And do you think that there is more consciousness this year about it, or still, it's something that, as you say, there is the World Economic Forum like a cloud, here, and then the reality, the real economy moves down. So how do you see that?
Yeah, before we get into the World Economic Forum, I think you mentioned about the protecting the human data and the human rights. But before you protect anything about the human, you have to define what a human is. And this is the problem. I code, I develop software, and when you develop a software, whatever it is, an app or AI, you're going to reach a point where you have to code what a human is. You have to say in a line of code, this is what a human is, and this is a digital identity of the human. That does not exist on the internet. So a very low-hanging fruit will be to ensure that everything we do, all the algorithms we develop, all the AI, we code the human into it. And so that means that the code itself understand what a human is. So that will be our first line of defense. Now, once we define what a human is, we can define what the rights of that human is algorithmically and not just theoretically. The UN is a great body to create awareness, but it's a very bad body to implement anything. They don't have the strength to implementation. That's the private sector, right? And when you talk to Larry Page or one of those guys, they're going to say, look, the robot is the next evolution of the human. Don't worry. I mean, we don't need to be human anymore. We're going to be robots later. In their mind, they don't have any issues to project us towards being a robot or a superhuman or an enhanced human that will be able to live in Mars, because the current human doesn't have the capability of doing so. So they are bringing an entire industry, and this is not a one startup. This is a $10 trillion industry move towards that, right? So what is the counter? The counter of that, there are small lobbyists, NGOs, ECOSOC, UN, but this is like a very tiny force to fight against that, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's like the we are like the native Indians in the United States when the other colonies arrive. The forces are totally decentralized. So because these guys are making more money every day and they're becoming bigger every day, especially with AI, this is what AI is going to do to them. They're going to become monster big. So we're going to be even more fragile towards that. So there is a moment now where legislation needs to be put in place. And the European Union has started, this is the first move last year, to regulate AI. So that is, with Thierry Breton, this is a good move. It's not the final one because, again, it's the European Union. The European Union is not powerful enough to regulate the AI. So then we need an international consensus. And we will put that, we will need, like we did with nuclear weapons, when we discover the nuclear weapons were so dangerous and could basically destroy humanity, we put some processes to protect any nuclear war. We have to do the same thing. We need to protect AI war into the possibility of totally destroying humanity. And if that doesn't happen, we're going to have a very bad future because the power, economic power, is in the hands of the people that do not necessarily believe that Earth has a solution. So there's a fundamental issue now. Now, the World Economic Forum, people don't understand the World Economic Forum. They think the World Economic Forum is a group of people designing the future of the world. It's a conference. I've been in the World Economic Forum since 20 years, and the World Economic Forum is a gathering of people like you do in the United Nations General Assembly, or you do in the FII in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, in the Riyadh, the Future Investment Initiative. Those are events where very senior people meet out of the record in coffees, in restaurants, in conference, and do not have the same protocol than they will have if there is an official delegation meeting with an official delegation. So what happened is that people get into discussions that normally the protocol will not allow you to have, or they will be getting informed about things that normally they don't get informed because there will be so many layers between the decision-making process and the person that tells you that. So it's an educational process that basically defines the risk of the year, so you have the systematic risk of both economic risk, environmental risk, socioeconomic risk. They are debated. And then you have, Davos is the Congress, the World Economic Forum, but then you have Davos, the city of Davos, which is full of NGOs, of activists, of people, and they go to Davos to interact with other people. So we should see Davos as an ecosystem of people with diverse identities, diverse social positions, then they are mixing together. And it's actually a good process because, as I mentioned, you are out of the protocol. Yes. You're out of the formatted structure where you can only talk about something and not move outside the script. Here you can be more generous and being able to exchange information. Now, on your point of the civilization moving towards another planet, this is happening. I mean, this is an industry. This is not only anymore a movie. This is something that defines that. I was in Las Vegas in CES last week, and I went to the Sphere, which is this huge dome, where they show a video on where Earth in 100 years' time will become like a Disney World park. I mean, we will leave all the humans because we will be a liability, so we'll not be able anymore to stay on Earth, and we will come to Earth only a week or 2 weeks, like we come in holidays, just to enjoy the nature, because obviously without human, the nature will regenerate. And we will be here authorized to stay 1 week, 2 weeks, and then we go back again to our planet, right? So that's the vision, that the humans are so hostile to nature that we need to leave, we need to disappear, otherwise nature will never regenerate. So that's a view which is actually a scary view. I think humans are the fruit of Earth, so we are from Earth, we are constituted by the same elements, and we should learn how to live with Earth in a way that is sustainable, and for that needs a new education, a new incentivization. Now, how to solve the problem? You have $10 trillion companies, and they have made money in data mining, in abusing the human right. We need to make a Google or a similar company on the other side of the issue, a company that has been able to protect humans, to put humans in the right place, to protect the planet. That company should have the same valuation that the company that is doing the other way around. And then when the market will understand that they can make money in doing good versus doing bad, then you're going to solve the problem. But cannot be a United Nations issue or World Economic issue. This is an economic issue. You need to make the Google of goodness, and that company that will be $10 trillion market cap will be the company that everybody will follow because they can make money while at the same time they are respecting the planet and they're respecting human. This is what I'm trying to do with my company. This is what we are trying to do with people working together, is to say we can make money without being detrimental to humanity.
Yeah, and now I organized a series of events during COP28 now in Dubai recently, and the focus was on impact investing. So, you know, I have my doubts that the majority of investors understands the opportunities, the economic and, you know, profit-based opportunities of the new green and blue economies. There is still a lot of, you know, awareness raising that we need to do in terms of educating them. But I have my own opinions about that. What are your experiences in this area? I mean, also raising capital for your companies. Do you see that there is a movement of investors, I mean, traditional investors, that, you know, see the opportunities of these new multi-trillion green and blue economies and are jumping on them? Or you see still, you know, a lot of resistance in those dynamics?
The only problem, investors invest based on a good business plan. So we need to develop the business plan that shows that this green investment or circular economy investment is a profit-making structure, right? And then can make your money to accelerate. So I am working with Gunter Pauli, which is the father of the green economy, the circular economy. I have been giving conference with him around the world. We are now solving issues about containers in the world, tracing them through satellite connectivity. So we reduce the CO2 footprint of the container, because the maritime industry is 18% of the global CO2. So we are going one by one, and we are working with very big organization like the Dubai port that is obviously conscious that they need to solve their CO2 footprint, and they are willing to make investments in technology that help them to do that. But as I mentioned, you need a catalyst. You need a one company with one good business plan that is making money, that is growing on the stock exchange, and then people will say, okay, this is actually the business plan that I want to apply to my own property. But the money's there. I mean, we have huge amount. I think all the banks, we in Geneva, we have very big banks, and all of them, they are saying part of the investors' portfolio needs to be invested in this type of technology. So the willingness is there. In some cases, even portfolio diversification strategies, right? And they want to be sure that they for their own reputation, they want to show that they are investing in this alternative economy. But you need a good business plan, and you need a winner. So you need a reference. I mean, humans are, you know, if ChatGPT starts with $100 billion valuation, everybody wants to invest there without even understanding what ChatGPT might be. So humans, we are driven by sometimes by the bus. We need to create a sustainable development company that is good for human and the planet, that becomes a multi-billion-dollar company, and then everybody will be investing there. The money is there, the willingness is there, the business plan is not there yet, and the companies they're still too small. They need to get to the level of the company, as I mentioned before, that have been data mining data for decades, and they are becoming $1 trillion company, all of them.
Yeah, I love your vision, and whatever we can do to support you materializing that, Carlos, count on us. Just as a piece of information also for our audiences, one of my conferences in Dubai during COP28 was about the Net Zero Banking Alliance, which is actually what you just mentioned about the banks in Switzerland understanding and having the actual resources to finance the transition of world economy from fossil-based to renewable energies. So this Net Zero Banking Alliance that has as members Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Union des Banques Suisses, Deutsche Bank, Intesa San Paolo. I mean, all the major global financial institutions, Morgan Stanley and, and so on. So they have pledged, at least on paper, up to $130 trillion by 2050, obviously. Then they say $86 trillion by 2030. Anyway, we know that these are pledges, right? They announced those big figures, but it has been, that was in Glasgow at COP26 when these announcements were made. And that's the first time in human history that the financial sector, takes that risk in at least announcing. I'm not saying that they are, putting the money where their mouth is, but at least there is a shift into the political agenda of the major financial institutions that is very promising. And so I think that your vision of creating, this green Google type of company can certainly have the potential to raise the money that it needs and deserves. So let's move on that path together. Now, Carlos, we were going to wrap up soon this conversation. And as I said, this podcast, kind of eco podcast, if you can define it like that, aims at providing inputs and the platform to re-engineer the global climate agenda, which is obviously failing in many aspects, right? The implementation of the SDGs certainly will not happen by 2030. And so we need to redefine, reinvent the global architecture around climate by starting with a new philosophy, a new vision, a new strategy, and a new execution framework. And so this is, I think, one of the first attempts that we are putting in place to gather this collective intelligence of all of us, because nobody has the solution. You mentioned that this is a multi-dimensional problem that requires multi-dimensional solutions, and every solution is valuable if contributes to reshaping the global climate agenda. So I have a question that I do to all my guests, and this is a kind of a scenario exercise. Like, if you imagine to have a magic wand and you can make any change to the global system, the global economy, the mindset of people, the execution of a specific technology, whatever you could do at will, what would that be that you would do to accelerate the implementation of the SDGs?
So what I will do, I will launch a 1 year on where everybody, the entire world, will work to solve the problem. So like a moratorium year, 1 year until COP29 in Azerbaijan, on where we're going to stop making money in destroying the planet, in data mining people, in putting identities of people in control of AI, on development AI that weaponizes people. We create 1 year, a buffer year, 1 year, only 1 year. I mean, the humanity is millions of years. We create 1 year on where all investment, all focus, all universities, all governments, all the UN, all the WEF, everybody works, focus in trying to solve the existential issues that we have. 1 year. And even if only 10% of the people do that and take 10% of their time, we will make a huge difference. The problem we are facing here is after the COP ends, people forget about it, it goes to other meeting, and then they wait for the next COP to go again and keep talking, and nothing happens. The implementation doesn't happen. It's not execution. I worked in the UN for many years to realize that those meetings are great, but after you finish the meeting, you're just resetting your own life, right? So we need we don't need a laser. We need a laser strategy to solve the problem, not a rainbow strategy. Now we are in a rainbow. We talk about everything, we comment everything, but the planet gets every day destroyed, and humans are getting every day abused. So 1 year moratorium on where we will put the right people together. Execution and initiatives will happen. For instance, let's create a stock exchange at the same level of the NASDAQ on sustainability, where only companies then they can show that they are solving problems of the planet, then they are protecting humans, then they are reducing pollution, then they are destroying illicit traffic, then they are fighting against the $5 trillion illicit economy. Let's put them in a stock exchange where investors can invest in them, because the qualification process of the stock exchange will be as strict as it is in the financial. You have to go through the SEC, you have to spend millions of dollars on lawyers before you get listed. Let's do the same process on an environmental sustainability, human-centric stock exchange. And that could be one of the decisions of the year. So what will happen, billions of dollars will be transferred from the problem-making economy to the solvent-making economy. And then you will have enough money to create innovation, startups, governments will receive funding to move away from polluting economies to sustainable economy, and you will have a new mindset being established, followed by education. I mean, we are educating the young kids now. You know, I have 6 kids in my family. So I have to educate them to the future world that we're going to be facing, which is going to be very different. And they always tell me, if I had the way to do it, I will do it, but where I start? So let's help them to start somewhere. And that's 1 year moratorium, 1 year on where we will deliver 3 or 4 fundamental things. Then we need to create that economy.
Wow, amazing. And the idea of creating this kind of green NASDAQ, that's absolutely genius. And let's see if we can at least start the process, Carlos. I think that it's at least a contribution to, you know, reinventing the solution, because nobody's talking about this in the official summits, as you say, and politics is totally disconnected from the reality. And so that's the contribution that we can certainly add to the conversation and to the progress of the planet and humanity. On this note, Carlos, I would like to thank you for your work, first of all, your vision. You are one of those persons who is able to materialize vision into, in your case, a very successful business ecosystem. I wish you all the best, all success in your journey, and I will certainly stay in touch. And thank you again to the audience of Planet Gold to watch this new episode about technology and sustainability. Stay tuned and stay inspired.
Hey, Enzo, all the best.
Thank you. Gracias.
Planet Gold, the stories of today's leaders in finance, tech, real estate, culture, and sustainability, where health is the new luxury and opportunities for a better future are being crafted by the second. Hosted by Enzo di Taranto, engineered by Benedict Hadley. Planet Gold, a Circle X Hadley Broadcasting production.